keep your brain healthy, you're actually supposed to do any common things that you normally do. Like if you usually write with a blue pen, you're supposed to switch it up and write with a red pen, or use your left
Different
hand,
coloring.
or just to try to.
Yeah, but nobody wants to be on the red.
Well, or not red, but something else, or pencil.
Different color.
What if you're OCD though?
Oh, well then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's my excuse.
You're not truly OCD unless you say that correctly. It's CDO. That way it's alphabetical.
Oh,
We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll consider for approval the minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. 9 a.m. Paul Bartel to discuss with possible action financial support for the Winnebago River Watershed Management Coalition. So where are we
Yeah.
at on this?
Well, 2-3 weeks ago when I first presented this, you, Chairman, wanted to table it
Yeah, we wanted to look at what everybody was giving.
and said, let's talk about this in 2 or 3 weeks. So,
Yep.
I'm back.
And you sent us that information.
Yes.
Refresh my memory on that.
Well, someone did. When I called,
Was it sent by email or did it?
I think
It
you
wasn't-
brought some of the information back in the same meeting.
You came back.
yeah, I came back with some information.
Yeah, and
And
it
then when
seems like we got an email on it.
So that was.
Yeah, when I called the request being put on the agenda, whoever I talked to in the auditor's office said that they would email you.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't me, but it was someone
The
here.
information got out.
Well, I probably have it written down. Let me pick that up. What's going on since then?
I just remember that there
It's
were other
not-
entities,
Yeah, well,
in Saragordo County and Mason City were on board with relatively,
I'm just trying to remember the numbers.
yeah.
I think Mason City and Saragordo County each were looking at, was it $2,500, I think.
That sounds right.
Each
And-
2,500, you said?
Yeah, that's the figure I had in my head that I was confident.
And they're gonna talk with Sir Lake. I talked with Cynthia Farmer just late last week. And there's been, constituents who said, yeah, we're gonna support that. But so far, many of them have not finalized it yet. So we're getting close to the end of the month, so
Hancock, are they doing anything on it?
I don't know.
And Worth is part of it.
Yeah, I
don't
mean-
remember seeing Worth on there.
Worth supported the Shell Rock.
Yeah, they're kind of split like we,
Initiative.
half of ours goes that way. and
Yeah.
half of it comes this
Yeah,
way.
right. And I mentioned last time I spoke with you that, different examples of a formula. You don't have to use a formula. I mean, when I looked at the Shell Rock proposal, a lot of groups donated 500. So, whatever, and again, you don't have to. This is not a requirement. I think we'd have a better voice in the matter if there was
A match from everybody.
some finance. Yeah, right. But it's not required.
What is the major funding comes from for the Winnebago River Watershed Management Coalition?
Well, we're applying for a grant from Iowa DNR.
So DNR.
Yeah, that'll be $125K.
And is that for study initially?
Study, education, outreach, different projects that we're putting together. Something I'd like to see happen. When I monitored water quality for the county supervisors here 20 years ago, that was some real good information. And that the supervisors at that time used to help encourage farmers with land that bordered the streams to put in filter strips, which I found reduced the load.
And we've had
I'd
many
like to.
discussions about that.
What's that?
And we've had many discussions about that.
I'm sure. I would like, as far as the outreach and then projects, something I like to see happen is the other counties do something similar and encourage, if they haven't already, I don't know what's happening in the counties, but encourage filter strips along the streams. There's a number of streams where, you know, the rows are right up to the edge. And in a few years, you see that edge fall off, and so they have to back off a little bit. Be nice to see some filter strips along all those streams.
Like Minnesota.
Yeah,
So
that's
just
what.
something
It's
conservation
mandated up there.
Oh, do they mandate it? Okay.
in Minnesota, yeah. Is there something conservation should be involved in?
You say oil and water?
Our county conservation.
Oh, the conservation board.
Mm-hmm.
You have to talk with them. I'm not going to speak for them. I mean, it all falls in conservation. Just last Tuesday evening at the monthly Soil and Water Conservation Commission meeting, we've committed $500 to the cause. And I've got some ideas there that I'm going to discuss with the other commissioners for projects for next year. So where this is specifically water quality, the Soil and Water Conservation Commission is getting involved. As far as the County Conservation Board, I mean, this is in their interest too, but I don't pretend to speak for them.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering if you shouldn't get on their agenda and attend one of their meetings and present the same thing that you
I will
presented.
speak with Chris about it.
I mean, I'd like to see them get involved.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing Robert Schwartz might have had conversations with Chris and the board. I will talk to them and find out. I know that Robert has talked with other stakeholders, other groups interested in this, and I will talk with Chris myself. I want to be careful not to overlap, because when you have several people talking to the same person, the same group about the same thing, it gets a little bit wearing sometimes. Well, we've already been talking to about this.
Has Forest City been?
Robert Schwartz said he was going to talk with them.
Well, okay, so for us, it's gonna be more of a how much and where would it come from?
Where would it come
And
from?
for us,
And-
it's not gonna be until after the 1st of July if we budget it.
Yes, and the letters of support, financial or otherwise, are due by end of the month. But the financial support, the checks that be written will not be needed until next year.
Where would it come from, Carla? What account? If we would decide to, this is why I was asking about conservation. You know, is it something that should be coming?
I mean, I would think it would come from a conservation, but it could also come from something in
Miscellaneous.
a miscellaneous. We could,
I guess I'd like to see it just come from miscellaneous as a budgeted item for next year, as a one-time, kind of like we've done with the Bowman Fine Arts and many of those that we've done. If there was ongoing expenses, then that should be another, just a
That's,
standalone budget.
well, and that's why I thought it would
I think
make
that
more sense.
conservation should be a separate donation towards it.
Right, but I think they should, I feel like they should be the initial primary contact for you. Don't you? That it should go through theirs budget?
And I understand that, although the more stakeholders that can show support, the better off
It's a
the
competitive,
grant request
it's
will be.
a competitive grant.
I guess I don't have a problem with a $500 financial support to it. I've been to a few of those meetings. I think they're gonna be doing good work.
Mhm.
There's some success stories from the watershed, right? From management groups west of us.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and down south too, central Iowa. They've been around much longer than those of us up here. And they've had some good success down here as well. So, no, I'm not guaranteeing what's gonna happen or anything. It's just that, yeah, the intentions are good, the planning is good, the track record of the other ones down for the south is good. You wanna get involved.
So there were representatives at the, one of the meetings that I was at from other towns
Mhm.
too. Have you heard back from any of them?
No, again, I talked to Cynthia, and it won't be 100% of all the stakeholders. Worth County, there's a Worth County supervisor that has met. What's his name? You know him.
Is it AJ? Oh, Mark's maybe.
Yeah,
Mark.
he's been a regular attendee.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a few other counties that have not been so visible
Mm-hmm.
in their presence. So it's not, this is not going to be 100%. We're just trying to see how many can we.
Where do the funds come to pay Cynthia?
She is part of the rural. There's a group that's based out of Nebraska, out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and that's who she works for.
I've been getting emails from them for like 10 years now or something.
Yeah, and what they do is they simply coordinate, facilitate the formation and operation of groups like this. So she's involved in all of these watershed management coalitions across the state. So she's getting her money from Nebraska. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the group.
Yeah, I was just gonna look it up quick. On the bottom of this email said, it's just a link.
So their ultimate goal, I'm just saying this for the
Center
benefit
for
of
Rural-
people watching,
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate goal is water quality,
Water quality and flood mitigation,
flood mitigation.
both of those, right. And that's where I hope more cities get involved, because early on, when this group met, I knew nothing about flood mitigation. So I decided I wanted to learn something about this. So Scott graciously gave me some of his time. We chatted about it, and he said, well, quite frankly, that's primarily a city concern. All the cities have plans for their city limits, for their jurisdiction. And so he showed me on his computer, you know, flood levels of certain amounts would affect this much of the city. He said that's the city, not the county. So that's, I'm hoping cities get involved in this too.
Center for Rural Policy and Development.
Any objections to that?
Or Center for Rural Development. That's probably what it is. CR,
So who do you think
CFR.
that's under, like, what's that?
they're a nonprofit probably.
Nonprofit?
Center for Rural Affairs, isn't it?
Is it Affairs or Development?
Maybe that's it. One of the two.
I think her email, is CFRA, you're right, Rural Affairs,
Yeah, okay.
Center for Rural Affairs. What's your thoughts, Bill?
I'm not here to pressure. Would you like me to step outside while you
No,
discuss
no,
this?
no, I just like to hear
Okay,
everybody's.
that's fine, okay.
I just curious if it was a bah humbug day or if it's gonna.
Oh. It's kind of a bah humbug here. I guess I don't have a problem with it,
Out of the miscellaneous then,
I suppose.
since it's a one-time thing.
So you would need, if we would agree to that, then you would need a letter
Yes,
that would
Letter
indicate
support.
the support,
right,
and then the monies wouldn't need to be after our next budget.
right. I gave you templates
Mhm.
of letters last time.
You put 'em in front of
And
us.
when, you know, whatever you agree to here, when it gets signed, if you would email it to me and I'll forward it along to Cynthia so it can be submitted along with the grant request. And then if we get the grant, then next year, the check would be.
Well, since most of my district is in this, I'll make the motion to allocate or show our support for the grant opportunity through the Winnebago River Watershed Management Coalition in the amount of $500 after the 1st of July next year. And the supporting document to be submitted with their grant application.
I'll second.
We've got a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to put $500 towards the grant application for support for the Winnebago River Watershed Management Coalition. Any further discussion? And it would come out of the miscellaneous of next year's budget. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your support. Thank
You
you.
said that's due by when now?
It'll be next year.
No, I mean this.
Oh, the letter, the proposal is being submitted by end of the month.
Yeah, so,
And so if sometime this week or next,
I suppose.
sooner would be better than later.
Yeah. I guess if you guys get that put together, I can sign it. All
Do
right,
you have a Word document and not just,
I can email that to you if I have your email.
okay, yeah, there's
I'll go,
a business
I'll
card
go get it.
on the, yeah,
Very good.
thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you again.
all right. Auditor's office, we discussed drainage matters.
I have a couple things today. I got an email from Justin Gomat regarding the easement over by Pilot Knob that they've been looking at. when the Tweetins had their petition, that there was some error. The trees were causing damage to the tile. It's been looked at, and that is one of their easement properties. And so they are looking at it. They're going to come up with a proposal of how to fix it because the tile is in their easement. And they wanted us to know that they're still looking at it, and they will get on the Board of Supervisors when they have their proposal ready, so you guys can know what they're doing. So if anybody hears from the landowners regarding that. One thing I want to ask them is, in the beginning, there was an invoice that was paid by conservation, and now that this may be paid by their, they have a fund that this could be paid out of. I want to see.
NRCS.
This is, yeah, Justin is from NRCS, but there's that, when we went to that meeting, there was
Right.
that state funding. I want to see if that can be reimbursed to conservation, because it should have been part of this project. So,
My guess
Was
is
it a
no, but.
small dollar
oh,
amount?
$4,000.
Yeah,
So,
I'll bet they won't, but, yeah.
but, well,
Worth a
I just
shot.
want to check,
Yeah,
yeah, just to see. If we had known or done anything in the beginning, they wouldn't have had to pay that bill.
mhm.
So, that is that. They're in DD 18, lat 11, that's that big project we did. We upsized the tile, had the railroad, went underneath the secondary roads. So the new owner of most of lat 12, Mr. Andersland, wants to do a private tiling next to the district. Instead of upsizing lat 12, he's just gonna do his own, kind of buy it. I'm bringing this up because I want it to be in the minutes that this is gonna be privately done,
So
privately
it's just an
funded.
outlet into the tile.
Right, it shouldn't affect any of the existing tile. I have told him that I'd like him to put it in, record it so it's in his abstract for future landowners, that they know that that's private. The district will still have theirs. It works. It's not to capacity because it's so undersized, but it works. That way people will know what's the district tile and what's his.
What's the name on this one?
It's Eric Andersland. And he bought the property that Carl Langfald used to farm. And so that's why Carl hasn't come in to want that upsized. I think it's fine what he's doing because it doesn't affect the landowners, and he would pay the majority of any upsizing anyway.
Yeah, I think legally we can't really stop it.
No,
But
just
it's
as
good
long
to
as,
have the information and
Right.
record.
right, and that's what I wanted to make sure that we have it in our drainage minutes. When he has the full plans, he's gonna let me have those so I can also put them in our records so we have it. If anybody ever wants to check on it later.
So
When
this-
you get those plans, can you share them with us? Just
Yeah.
so that we can
This is
see how many feet it is and how
This
big it
is
is?
originally, he's using Ellingson tiling out of Minnesota. So this is our existing lat 12. So he's planning to do, a huge area. I don't know the exact footage.
So
This is a
all
preliminary.
pattern tiling that he's doing?
Yeah, and I don't know specifically where we're at, if that's Harmon's field or if that's Eric's. Do you recall if,
Where's the black?
whose property is this?
His.
His, okay.
That's the one that
So-
Carl had.
Oh, okay, so the highway's
Down to the
down
blacktop.
here,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so the highway's down here.
But it's going all the way to the blacktop.
Yeah, it is?
Yep.
This is just a partial of his
You can see
plan.
both lines. The dotted line is the county line.
Mhm.
The yellow, red line is
So the
proposed
county's gonna be affected on the road part of it, cause he's going under the gravel road.
in 3 different spots.
And he met out there with Ethan.
They're paying for everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing coming out of our
But they're
budget.
not going.
The
to
only thing that-
blacktop.
No.
Yeah, cause that's got a good enough outlet.
Yeah.
That we stubbed out there.
Yep.
But they are putting in 3 new 1.5 mile
3 new crossings.
3 new crossings, so that'll be 3 new crossings that they will have to maintain afterwards,
Okay,
because that's what happens
afterwards.
afterwards. Yep.
But they're new, so hopefully we don't have that problem, but
Right, I
done
mean,
right.
the only thing like Scott and I have ever talked about is it gets kind of messy doing it that way just because it should just be a new main, and then we would only have 3 crossings to deal with. Now we're gonna have 6 crossings within 40 feet of each other.
But we can't force
In
this
the
on
future.
anybody.
Well, and he's trying to save engineering fees.
Yeah.
All of that, possible remonstrance, you know, they remonstrated the big project before. So this was his thoughts. So yeah, it will make more work for them in the future. That is the one downfall.
So you'll just make sure that the crossings are how you want them and
Yeah.
easily maintained, or hopefully, and
Yeah, and that's what I met out there with them. We're gonna do them the way that we want them to be done, so I mean, they're being cooperative on the whole project. So.
And I would think that your office would be hand in hand with them, making sure everything's done right.
Yeah, but I don't know what we're talking about.
Drainage,
It's drainage.
drainage.
Okay. Thought I'd get you in the conversation.
So that's what I wanted to mention. Otherwise, I don't have anything today.
So you're in any relation to Bruce Sanders' land?
It's his son.
I know Bruce is a good guy.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
He was out there.
I've mainly dealt with Eric when we did that big project. I talked to him quite a few times. He seems super nice.
it's a big project.
Cool.
Anything else for drainage? Jen?
I don't.
Go ahead. How about you guys?
Nothing.
Think of it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Yeah, so our gravel crushing continues out at Sunnyside. We have got about 35,000 tons out of the pit for gravel so far. So we're gonna end up well over what we estimated there. So it's a good thing. It may affect what we decide to do going forward in terms of timing of the sale of the property. So we're just kind of taking it day by day and seeing how the crushing goes.
If you don't
We'd
have
like to get it all done this fall, but now as it keeps going and the weather turns to cold and wet, you know, they have more problems with the equipment. So if it happens that they pull out of there and we have more to get in the spring, you know, that could affect the
How
timing.
much time do you think they need to get everything done?
Right, if we knew the limits of what they were taking out of the ground, we would maybe have a better feel. Because there might be another 10,000 tons in the ground to pull out.
Is that 2 weeks worth, or is that?
Their production has been anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 tons a day, depending on weather.
I got an email from Troy Thompson about what's going on out there. Did he send it to you?
Was it today?
I
I think I got it. I have visited with him a few times.
I'll forward it to everybody.
I'm sure it'd be the best interest of the buyers if we were able to firm up a schedule here. So
I was going to ask, how does this affect the sales and also your budgeting for,
yeah, well, you can see that we have not any really have not had any action out at our building site, you know, so the footings are expected still to go in this winter in the building over the kind of, excuse me, footings this fall yet, and then the building over the winter, and not completion until September. So, you know, the capital outlay has got really stretched out as well. So we would have some time from that standpoint.
He has some concerns about what's going on out there, how he believes it's devaluing the property.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe the challenge is if we were to sell it now, we would be selling a bit of a question mark because the landscape out there is changing as we mine. So we would certainly want to sell it as, you know, a property that is kind of put back together in a way that somebody would know what they're bidding on.
Well, we may have to hold off on the rest of this conversation. We have a 9:30. Number 11, it's just off the page. Consider for approval law enforcement contracts.
Okay, well, it's time to renew our 4-year contracts with our law enforcement contracts with our contract towns. And we've got all those sent to the city councils and signed and here to get approved. Basically, any talking points, just short and sweet. The increase is gonna be each year over the 4 years of this new contract. It'll go up a total of $14, so $350 per person per year. So, currently they're like $54 per person. So at the end of this 4 years, it'll be $68 per person. Two of the towns, actually, because of the census, Leland and Rake, went down in population, so they're actually paying less than what they did prior, correct?
The first few.
Yeah, just so I have that right. You know, basically the hours and whatnot are gonna stay the same, so it's just pretty much status quo, so.
I'm assuming with the less population, we have less problems to deal with.
All right.
Sure. Yeah. But that's all I really have, other than presenting the contracts to you guys. Do you have any questions, or?
Have they all approved them then?
Yeah,
Here's all, they're each town's paperclip together, but I think the chairperson has to sign the back of each page.
So they've already been through their council.
Yep.
right, yeah.
We went to each council meeting.
And that this
Don't
will,
need stamping, do they?
No.
this will go into effect and then, of July 1 of '25, and it'll be in effect through July 1 of 2029. We'll have to address this again. Anything else?
I'll make the motion to approve the law enforcement contracts.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensel to approve the 4-year law enforcement contracts with the cities. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Carla, need to get sign those too?
These are ready for Carla?
Yep.
Do you wanna usher those? I'll start finding them. She's got-
Thank you.
We'll still end up, Chris, we'll still end up with the originals, because Kelsey will give it back to us.
Yeah.
How is Hancock and Worth doing now on their contract?
I know Worth County Sheriff's Office covers Northwood.
And Manly has their own.
Right. As far as any particulars, I don't know, and then, but Hancock, they contract the other towns.
I didn't know how they were doing for price. You know, 'cause
I wanna say they were increasing also. We talked to them when we first brought this to you guys.
I remember 4 years ago, there was at least one of those counties that was way behind in what they charged, and they were trying to.
Yep. After he sends these things, give them over to Kelsey to find a copy first.
I'll just take care of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just get the completed copy back to us, we
Yep.
can kick them back to the towns too.
I can send them to the towns too if you want.
Oh, for the love of Pete.
I just saw it right now.
Thank you.
Chris, did you say you could forward them?
I can send them out if you want me to.
Oh, cool.
When they come back from recorded?
Yep, yeah,
I can do that, yes.
okay.
What year did you guys start having contracts with the towns?
I have no idea.
A couple of them, it's been quite a few years.
I think this is probably for sure the
But there
third
was before,
grade.
I mean, before we started the 4-year contracts, there were different contracts.
Yeah, I think
It's been a while.
it seems like it's been 14 years at least.
It's
Yeah.
been, since I've been here, it was already in place, and I've been here 15.
Yeah, Tom started and I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time.
I think it's been since I've been here.
Yeah, and she's been here longer than me, so, yeah. It's been a long time.
Scarville, Riverside,
All right, thanks.
Thompson's been great.
Welcome Center was the last to be added.
Right.
Right.
All right.
It's a great service
Right.
for our small towns.
Right, and like, you know, like I say, I think they're getting great protection and good service and follow-up, you know.
I'm sure they appreciate it as well.
It's always a challenge for the small towns, you know, the money in the coffers and so on.
You can't be everywhere all the time.
No.
But the center was done it a year earlier, I think we tried to talk them into it, they could maybe save themselves a little money.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I kinda use them as an example, that I think they're pleased that,
Yeah, they get sued by their last.
yeah, so.
Well, it was pretty tough to compete with Royal Basement though.
Yes, I agree. Do you remember Royal?
I don't,
I think that was after, or before.
Oh,
he had it.
I go back as far as like Don Volt.
What do you have, like a 74 Nova or something, 4-door? That was pretty cool.
All right, I'll let you guys get to it, thank you.
Wasn't it green?
It was great.
Hot green. All right, we'll go back to road department report.
Yeah, Bill's forwarded me the message from Troy, so I'm just looking at that and, yeah, if you guys wanna take a peek at what's going on out there, you're welcome to. It's kinda muddy, but I mean, you know, in a pickup, you can drive all the way back there and kind of take a look at what's going on. Right now, it's pretty ugly because they've been, you know, they stripped what was the ridge and kind of have left those stripping piles on all the perimeter of the excavation. And then in the middle, they've had to sort some, so it's kind of up and down. And what needs to happen then is all of that stripping gets pushed back into the middle. And in much of it, we didn't strip anything, you know, so it was a sandy gravel hill that had corn stalks 2 foot high. And so, you know, I think once we get it pushed back together, it'll look pretty good. But
Will there be more pond there then?
No. I mean, it was a hill that we took off.
Yeah.
And then
So
if
what is-
anything, it'll be better because we have years of black dirt from ditch cleaning right there next to it that would
Okay.
get pushed over
It
the
won't be
top.
perfect the first year, but later it might be.
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's some souring going on with the tracking through some of it while it's wet, you know, just, it'll have some compaction issues early on probably.
I sent the email to you guys too.
And
Hopefully we can do a good job cleaning up and make it presentable before everybody gets a chance to really look it over.
yeah, so maybe we ought to just kind of take
Step
a breath here and just not plan to sell it this fall and just move it into kind of
You don't know
in-depth.
what you're selling yet. so
Right,
in a
right.
sense, it's,
Well, and what's 35,000 tons of gravel worth? I mean,
What's it worth? Well,
$4 a ton.
that's what we're paying, I mean, close to what we're paying for the processing, but what's it worth is a bigger conversation because it replaces material being hauled into the county. And that material's probably worth
The trucking and.
$15 to $18 a ton by the time you put it at Sunnyside.
Yeah.
So even if we are devaluing the property by a marginal amount, the benefits probably outweigh that significantly.
that's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, I can maybe try and work that up for you so you kind of understand what we're talking about.
I'm doing math.
well, and that's, there is some concern out there that we shouldn't sell it at all because of the value of the ground. But I don't know how long or how much more gravel do you think is actually in there? Because you're doing some more. I think talked
We
about
opened up
before, a couple exploratory.
The spot they're working on now
Those dimensions in
has
it,
the
too.
bulk of it, which is the back ridge that we've talked about all along. We did pothole a little bit on the northwest corner of the pits, and there's a little bit of gravel there. It's not a lot. You could maybe make an argument that it's not worth sort of tearing up that area just for that little bit of gravel.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to clear some trees off a haul road that's already out there, and we'd have to, you know, make some piles and dig it out and push it back together, or, I don't know what's over there. I mean, maybe a couple thousand tons. Nothing like what we're in right now.
Yeah.
So, we have those whole,
It's nearing its use, or end of its useful gravel supply.
yeah, that's the way we feel, and so we dug some extra holes just to make sure we're not giving away a gravel pit. You know, we're giving away an old gravel pit.
So those are just exploratory holes to see what the worth is gravel-wise.
Right, and those
Not
holes,
necessarily holes that we've dug that we are gonna, therefore, go and get the gravel. It's just,
right, we're kind of, we just dug those holes on Friday to see, so they can be pushed back in, if we don't want to touch that part.
yeah, did you talk about doing that last Tuesday?
I don't know.
See, for some reason, it seems like it hit it in my head that you guys.
Yeah, as we spend more time out there, I often just kind of go for a walk and just kind of explore some of the areas of the property that I haven't been on very much. In one area of the property, it was just gravel underfoot. You know, there wasn't really any grass growing, it was gravel to the surface, and I thought, well, this is really easy to get and it's very deep. I think we should check this out, so brought an excavator out there and dug some holes and found some pretty high variability out there, but it's just a little pocket that's curious why they didn't get before.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd be willing to give any of you guys kind of a tour of what we're doing out there to
From
make
what I remember being told out there, that gravel wasn't the quality they wanted out of that one pit.
Yeah, I mean, we're amending it, as you remember, it's coming out finer than the Lewis gravel.
Right.
So we're adding some material to it. So again, the value is a little bit of a calculation because we're bringing in more expensive material to amend to it, but at a pretty low rate to make it very good.
It's kind of like blended bad corn at the elevator.
But the material you're using is benefiting what you're bringing in. That kind of help bind it.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken two very compatible materials, blended them together to make the ideal gradation. This
So
material-
to some buyers, when you do put this on the market, what you're doing out there would be considered improvements to it.
It's possible. I mean,
Where to other buyers, it may not. So, I mean, there's gonna be a number of potential buyers for this property.
right. Right, because I mean, the area that we're mining right now is gonna go from basically no topsoil on the top of the hill to a steady layer over what's left. So I think we're doing the right thing. Maybe we just got a little bit over excited about getting it sold this fall. Especially after we started realizing that there was appreciable amounts of gravel in there.
Well, hopefully weather will hold off enough to where we can get it done this fall.
Right.
Property changes, the bids could change too, so it's, we haven't finalized anything, so it's.
Right. Okay, so moving on from that. As you know, we have an operator position open in Forest City, and that position closes, or the application deadline's the 29th. And since I talked to you last, we have gotten resignation from our mechanic officially. So because of our conversations with positions being before the budget year, we've gone forward with advertising to fill that position, especially since it's such an important, position for our winter operations. So now we have two positions open and posted, mechanic and operator. Both of them close on the 29th, and we'll move forward at that point to fill both of those positions and hopefully have somebody on board by the end of December at the earliest.
How's your, for the mechanic, you list a range, after 18 months, you're up to a certain dollar amount.
I assume it would be along with experience.
Yeah, do you
Right.
take experience into that equation? If somebody, for instance, had a county job somewhere else and wanted to move closer to where they live?
Yeah. Some of the advertising needs a little bit of touch-up. And normally when we advertise an operator position, they start at the base rate, or at a rate we post and work up to the rate that is in the other end of the posting. But for a mechanic position, we hope to find somebody who is really well qualified, in which case, we would pay them as much as the contract would allow if they were perfectly qualified. And this is what we did with our last mechanic hire, Andrew.
Got someone that worked at Ziegler's for years, he would be,
Right. Right. I mean, when we're looking for operators, we often find guys who haven't run the machine that they're going to be operating here at the county, so there's a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah.
But for a mechanic, we really expect them to come in and be, qualified to jump right in.
is the mechanic retiring?
Right.
Yeah.
Neil.
Again.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, guys are getting snow equipment on, getting ready for these chance of flurries coming up.
So one of the trucks that had its, belly blade or whatever on it,
Yeah,
pulled out of Sunnyside in front of me and it just about hit him. No, that's not true. They did pull out of Sunnyside and I caught up with them.
yeah. We try to wait as long as we can because it adds a lot of weight to the trucks and the amount of rock we can haul that goes down by that amount of weight.
My slippery weather started early this year. I stepped out of my truck out here, realized that there was a maple leaf this big on top of one of the stripes, and both were slippery.
Hmm.
Like, whoa, that was fun.
Yeah, they get slimy.
So it's just kind of preparing
So,
me.
so do you guys ever get pulled over by the DOT?
There are counties who have been pulled over by the DOT. It's kind of indiscriminate that way.
Well,
It's
just like
difficult for us
anybody,
since we haul from quarry to quarry a lot of times without scales, you know, so we do our best. And
they run your DOT number and if they see that there's been lots of violations on that DOT number, then they're more apt to pull you over, but we haven't been doing anything illegal. They look at it and they leave me alone.
I don't know, our license plate numbers aren't specific to the vehicle, so they're just specific to the organization.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like your DOT number in a sense,
Yeah.
because counties don't have to have a DOT number, do they? Yeah, I think so.
Anything else?
That's all.
How about you guys? Any questions?
I saw they were out mowing in the rain this morning.
I tell you what, you know, this time of year, kind of in the last 6 weeks to 2 months, the guys really have time to use before winter so that they can build up their time back up. So we run pretty short staffed through the late fall. And Ethan's been doing a good job keeping a butt in the seat of the mowers and when it's fit to mow, and graders when it's fit to blade, and trucks when it's not fit to do anything else. Because man, we've been strapped, and so we've been pushing the guys a little bit to keep busy.
All right, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to number 5. Consider for approval resolution accepting bids for 2025 hot in place recycling, contract ID 95 CO 95-2025 HIR, award the associated contracts to the same and authorize the county engineer to execute said contracts and performance bonds.
Yep, so this is a contract for $1,923,669.40 to Dustral to do hot in place recycling work on 4 roads throughout the county. Specifically R20 north of Buffalo Center, R16 south of Buffalo Center, R50 and A30, which are up toward Scarville. I'll say it this way, from the 5-mile curve of Lake Mills, it's 2 miles west and 4 miles north. And then the last one is a piece of the Osmus project. It's from the Rake City limits to the cemetery that will be done prior to the paving. This is a project to be paid from the urban renewal bonds and came in about $30,000 under the estimate.
How old is that one that goes to Vinci there from 5 Mile Curve? Is that 10 years?
Paved in 2010.
Oh, so it's
You know, when they were doing when they had or 11 or 12. One of
it
those.
was later than that, because I was on the board when it was widened and stuff.
Of course, the shoulders were put on after,
Okay.
because the shouldering would have been in 13 or 14.
All right. Seems like they were pretty close, though.
Yeah, either 10, 11, or 12. They had a couple of big years there after when the first urban renewal bond was secured. So pretty good shape for its age, and this will really push the end of life out a long ways.
Can't remember how how far on R16 south?
It would be, the first 3 miles south of Buffalo were micro this
Yeah,
summer, so it's the 4 miles
yeah,
south.
I assume that's what it was gonna be.
Yep, it's the part that was chip sealed in 2020.
So this just places the hot back down. Will there be any coating beyond that later, or?
Each project is a little bit different from each other. So on our 20 north of Buffalo, we'll be recycling and then putting 1.5 inches of new hot mix asphalt on top. The Osmus project will have 3 inches on top. And then the other 2 projects will be left uncovered for now. And we'll kind of monitor their condition over time. And we'll probably get some sort of a surface treatment in the future. If you remember on R-74 south of Lake Mills, we put microsurfacing over top of it the same year and left a half mile of it uncovered. And the uncovered half mile looks like new paving still. So I think there's probably more benefit to be gained with the surface treatment after the pavement's had a chance to age a little bit. And that's the theory we're operating under for those stretches. Here's the resolution. Upon signing the resolution, we'll send the contracts out and get the contractor's signature, and then I'll execute their,
How many bids
Yes.
was there?
just one bid. It's quite a unique type of work, so there's a very limited number of contractors in the country that do this kind of work. So we have to do some due diligence on the front end to make sure that the bids don't come in.
So this was hot in place.
Right.
So is this the train of?
Right, the train of LP tanks and milling machines, yep.
They grind it up, mix oil with it, and put it back down, is that it?
Each one grinds a little bit.
Yeah,
After it's heated,
Right.
so the
Each
Min-
one
the
has a heater on it,
Right.
and there's only 3 of them that have milling.
Okay.
And when do you think this is happening?
late June into July.
Completion's supposed to be July something, and that's
Yeah,
$1,000 a day.
Yeah, I don't expect that to be in question.
not during harvest,
And how many miles total do you think it is?
Miles, is it, 18, about 19. In my mind, it's 100,000 a mile is sort of a rule of thumb, so.
That's what I was just trying to figure by the $1.9 million for the bid.
I'll make the motion to accept bids for the 2025 hot place recycling contract ID 95, CO 95, 2025 HIR. Award the associated contracts to the same and authorize the county engineer to execute said contracts and performance bonds.
I'll second.
On a motion from Jenswell and seconded by Smith for the aforementioned resolution accepting the bids for hot and place recycling. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right. Consider for approval a resolution authorizing the placement of a stop sign at 460th Street and 130th Avenue.
Sure. This resolution is a follow-up from last week's conversation to add a stop sign at that intersection after the installation of a structure at that location caused an obstruction of visibility.
So this is on 460th when you're heading west.
Right. This will be for westbound traffic, single stop sign at the intersection. Of course, the cost of the stop sign installation borne by the county. Otherwise, this is quite standard procedure.
So that's on the line between you and me.
I'll make the motion.
Right? And
Sure.
I'll second the motion. So I've got a motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the resolution authorizing the placement of a stop sign at 460th Street and 130th Avenue. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, consider for approval change order number 1 for the Winnebago County Storage Building.
This is the change order for the foundation changes. The bid package was left vague for the foundation. Bidders requested that we give them something uniform that they could all bid on, so we did that, making some assumptions, and we assumed the foundation to be a little bit too small compared to what the engineer designed after the fact. So this change order is to increase the footing size and the thickness of the footing wall. Change order is for $30,299.36.
So, when we had the original bidding process, would this number affected the second place bidder? Would it change the order?
All the bidders were bidding under the expectation that they would have to hire an engineer to design the footings. Now, rather than having an engineer do that, or rather than us hiring somebody to do that, or a contractor kind of getting the cart ahead of the horse and doing it during the bidding process, they requested that we just give them the size of the footing and the spacing of the rebar to bid on. So that at that point, all the contractors were bidding on the same thing. And so this changes from that specification to what the engineer now has designed.
I just figure that, was there a lot of difference between the first and second bids?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wouldn't have affected who had low bid if this would have been included.
That's right, but I guess I'll emphasize in this case that
Yeah.
each contractor was to then have hired an engineer to design the footings. The only different way to do it would have been for the county to choose a building style from a vendor and have them provide load requirements to a foundation engineer, which we hire and have the footings designed, and then include that in the bid package. And maybe it's a toss-up whether we save or money on one way or the other.
I just show resistance sometimes on amendments that seems like it should have been in the package to start with, but
I mean, our intent from the start was to have the bids come in as a building and foundation combination, however they want it. You know, because there's multiple ways they can build these buildings, and there's many different ways foundations can be built. And
Usually you would want your contractors all bidding on what you need.
Yeah.
You think you would know what you need ahead of time.
but then that requires the engineers employed by us to
Yeah.
provide that, and that would have cost a bunch of money too.
right. I mean, we would have had to go to, let's say, EPS, they're the supplier on this, go to them, have them basically design a whole building for us how we like, have them come up with an engineer to design the footings, and then put it all back into the bid process for them to maybe not get the bid. You're asking a lot unless you want to have third-party architects and engineers design all the parts and pieces. That all comes at a cost.
It just seems like when you know the building size and the weight and all that, it's going to be
footings that are never designed by a professional engineer.
I think the part that, I get that too, but I think the part that you sort of explained last week or the week before about it is all those multiple doors. You know, that's different than a normal pole building.
Yeah, but they know that the multiple doors are gonna be there. I mean, it's already,
Kind of. I mean, we had Morton came in and when we were like starting the project like very early. And he was on his computer and trying to build it and we threw all those doors on the one end and it basically said, can't do that. Like his
Can't do it.
computer programs, didn't know what to do, so,
was that right?
yeah. And it was a surprise to him, he had to go to Morton and they kind of talked about it and figured out something else, but didn't go that route today.
I guess I can see that, you know, even when you put in a hydraulic, you know, overhead door, it just changes what has to happen in that building, you know?
So the footings on this one, you said were consistent on three sides, but the front where the doors are, it's bigger.
Well, the way that they've designed it, the footings are the same size all the way around the tall part of the building, and then they're smaller around the break room.
Yeah.
Attachment. And, you know, if the footing designer was hired directly, you maybe could have a little bit more back and forth about what we need.
It just seems like extra expense for three sides that don't really need it.
Well, at least it's not a change order for, all of a sudden they say, well, the footings are gonna cost whatever. We are getting more for what we're spending.
It's significantly more. I mean, you know, 8-inch walls to 12.
Yeah.
And then the footings were 8 by 16 and went to 12 by 30 inches. Pretty
I
substantial.
can't remember what the number was, but the difference between the first and the second bid was considerable. If I remember right.
I want to say it was 60,000.
Well, what do you guys think, Bill?
I'll make the motion to approve the change order number 1 for Winnebago County Storage Building.
I'll second it.
And maybe there'll only be one.
All right, I've got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve change order number 1 for the Winnebago County Storage Building. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Okay.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
What color is it gonna be again?
White with gray trim.
The roof is gonna be gray?
Yeah.
It was something that had to look good with red and orange, right? Or red trucks and orange implements.
If we do things right, nothing gets left outside anyway.
Good answer. Good answer.
All right. Number 8, discussion of possible action regarding peat fire in Mount Valley. I have a letter from
4 signatures from you.
Nate Nelson, Fire Chief for Forest City. The peat fire at Eaton Park property has multiple spots that continue to burn. There has not been any improvement since Monday. This was dated 11/17. A lot of the burning spots seem concentrated around the pond, on the southwest of the Eaton property, the middle and the ends. The fire breaks where the PDEX was applied are holding to date. If the locations of the burning spots, our only chance at reducing this smoke is to start moving the dirt. I would like to request that the county can help in this situation. If the county were to bring in an excavator or two to dig hot spots in hopes of moving the hot burning peat out of an area where it can be, where we hope wouldn't continue to burn, and mix it with any form of available water around the pond. If the excavator could put the burning soil into the water-filled pond, it may be effective at burning out those spots. I cannot say for sure that this will put out all the fire, but this late in the season, it may be our only option. To be clear, the fire doesn't seem to be growing in size at this time. Any questions, please feel free to contact Nathan Mills, Chief of the Fort City Fire Department. So you had dumped some of this on the north end by the bull ditch, and it seemed to work there.
Yeah, we did it. Can't remember if it was like last Monday or Tuesday or something like that. We kind of went out there with an excavator, dug out the hot spots, kind of put it back on top of the ground, moved across, got them all, and then kind of stopped it out, mopped it up, and then we just let it sit for, I think it was like 5 days, 6 days, and the fire never continued to come back and smoke in that area. So kind of just thought that's working, and still to this day it hasn't started burning in that bull ditch along the telephone poles.
So if you get into, say, a larger area with a bunch of smoldering, how do you handle that part of it?
We've just been spreading it around, and then as you like move to the next spot, it's hard to tell when you're digging if it's smoke or if it's steam. I mean, some scoops you dig out and it's coals, and you can tell it's hot. And then you just let it sit there for a while, and it kind of stops smoking, steam. So if it's still smoking, later go back over there, stir it up again. You're just kind of moving back and forth.
Has it generally been 16 to 24 inch depth that is smoldering there?
Yeah, there is some that are deeper, but they're all relatively the same, I would say.
So say you had to dig a hole this deep to get it out, would you pull that out and pull non-smoldering back in that's like wet right now?
I would leave in it, this whole thing.
Leave it open.
Yeah.
So why is this working when moving dirt before kind of exacerbated the fire before?
It was so dry out there.
We've got the moisture to work with now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of what we pumped in, or because of
I'd say what we pumped in, plus getting nice timely
So
rains
both.
now. Again,
Oh
it's
yeah,
keeping
lots
the
of
moisture.
timely rains have helped.
How much rain did we get yesterday?
I think I had like an inch and 3/10 or something.
Do you know about how much rain we've had out there since this whole thing
yeah,
started
an inch.
on our dime? We had 3, 4, 5 inches.
I'd say 3-4 inches, at least 4, I think.
That's a lot of gallons of water out there.
Yeah, that's about the
Plus
same
what
as
we
what we
pumped.
pumped. So
So is there any danger to your equipment by doing that?
no, because they're contained. Like before, it was just one big circle that was on fire. Now it's spot here, spot there. I mean, obviously, there's always potential for hydraulic line to blow right over top of a hot spot and start a flame up, but we haven't been in that.
Odds are against that, I guess. It's,
As long as we're due diligence, making sure something's not leaking, ready to.
Right.
So he's kind of requesting something in this letter,
Well, he's in control of the fire scene. It's an open project still.
but is
He's
that a letter
requesting-
of request there?
It's a letter of request for 1 to 2. It'd be nice to have 2 guys out there in case something happens. At least you've got a backup guy to help you get out of there or whatever.
Right.
Scott, do you have any opinion on this, or?
Well, it sounds like you had guys out there yesterday. Because the way the conditions were. It's just made sense for us to be there and, you know, have limited productivity anywhere else. And sound like they made really good progress. So, I mean, in the hearing progress, I think has been pretty limited. And so it seems to make sense if we're gaining on it to put some time into it.
I think in talking to Kelsey, she thought it was best. I asked her, should we just suggest to the landowner he needs to have this done? She said, well, it'd be better if we just were a whole project as a
Instead of a
county,
bill.
and then it's all on one bill between the fire department and us, you know.
Yeah. And, you
It's
know,
cleaner that way.
easy enough for us to track our time and materials out there. And we've been doing that.
So she's been a part of this too, so.
Mhm.
I think it would be very beneficial out there. I'd like to just put it to bed, I mean, literally. And
So
hopefully go
how
in.
much time would it take? I mean, can you do it in days, or what's left to do?
I'd say we'd be done by the end of the week for sure.
I think that makes the most sense to go ahead with that. We've spent a lot of money on it already. It's time to.
Well, it's not out yet, so, and with the moisture ground and moisture, it's, now is when you can.
But didn't they say the snow was really going to help with that?
Yeah, but it's not gonna
Chemical.
penetrate down 2 feet, you know.
Right. But I mean, now is the
Seal it
time
off,
to do
maybe
that,
so.
and then the snow after that would be helpful.
The snow you think would melt over the top of the hot spots.
Right, I mean, any moisture is gonna help out there, whichever way it comes.
And as far as timing, if we get some icy roads, that's mostly just on the blacktops. And I don't know, if you'll have plenty of help for that, and these guys can keep going during that weather event, or?
Yeah, I mean, the only time they'd have to stop is they plow gravels.
Yeah, which we probably won't have to this week, my guess is.
Hope not.
A lot of it's gonna melt, I think, and
Do you have photos of what they're doing with the
I can-
digging?
uh,
out there?
all the digging part.
Yeah, the digging part.
I don't.
You know, a good inch of snow over it all would be interesting to see all the hot spots then, because then it would really show up.
Yeah, it'd be fun
I
to see.
mean, they do with the immigrant anyway, I'm sure.
It'd be interesting to see the drone photos after the first snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a bucket, it's just a little smolder, looks like an old campfire, and then you dip the bucket in there and it just, a big cloud of smoke comes out, sometimes flames.
I think it'd be good if we do this, that you do get out there and document some of it and give it to Andy and us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So when
Any
we do the
photos?
final, report, we've got that, how we did it, and that we actually did it.
Yep.
The proof.
Yeah, you can stay insulated underneath and keep burning. If you dig it out, put it on the top, it's gonna burn itself out, and not start anything else on fire, because it's wet now.
Yeah, I mean, you dig it out and you can dig 4 or 5 feet down past it and it's still, the steam's coming out of the ground, it's just insulated it.
Yeah.
So much down there.
I see steam on peak lots of days, just because of the differential in temperature and the moisture,
Right.
without a fire. Well, are we interested in getting involved in this then?
Something we already are, just as well.
Oh, we might have to make it official probably.
Yeah.
I would make the motion regarding the peat fire in Mount Valley to allow secondary roads to do whatever they can out there to eliminate the fire.
Use a couple excavators to.
It's the time of year when we're
Whatever
not
it
using them
takes.
for ourselves for much, are we?
It'd be nice to have them put away, but
Oh, yeah, other than that.
It'd be nice not to have to drag them out in the middle of winter too.
right.
So I'll second her motion. On a motion from Smith and a second from Derby to allow secondary roads to go out to the peat fire in Mount Valley Township on the Eaton property to excavate out the smoldering pockets and areas. And do we what we can to mitigate the rest of the fire out there. Any further discussion?
Yeah, so you took out those berms or the blockages. Is there any reason that we'd want to put those back in place before winter, or before you couldn't move that, as long as you've got excavators out there? Just,
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of water that comes from up north to that. I mean, as long as we get, right now we're not on a shortage of moisture, so, I mean, they'll fill up if we
I
put
was
them back
just,
in.
kind of thinking if we had an open winter and then, didn't have any moisture, does it make any sense to be proactive on those ditches? I don't know.
Well, the area right next to the fire is being filled even faster now since the dikes are out beyond that, so we're still containing the water, right?
No,
Oh, you took
No.
the third one out?
yeah,
Okay.
So if
There
they're,
was-
About ready to go over, or?
there's, yeah, there's a lot of water that comes from the north that you don't see. So with the 4 inches of rain, it was filling up. And if we leave that one in on the low end, if it goes over, all that gets silted in downstream, which will make more of a mess in the future to clean up.
It's too bad we can't build it up even higher and divert it to the fire.
Right,
That'd take quite a bit of dirt.
Yeah.
In the right spot.
The pump sitting there pumping it out of there, where you need it.
yeah.
But it's not gonna get deep enough without some help.
I would say what we got done yesterday is pretty minimal smoke this morning. So the goal is by the end of the day to have no smoke and then monitor it, see what pops up for little hot spots that you can't see, But
yeah, with all that crazy wind we've had, if it was going to, you'd think it would
but
start back up.
It's just too wet on top for it to spread like it was.
Right.
All right, any other discussion on it? We'll move on to vote.
We didn't, oh, sorry.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Thanks for everything you're doing on that big project. I mean, that fire is unprecedented.
Definitely different.
Never a dull moment in Winnebago County.
Right. One of these years it'll be quiet.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Consider for approval, TIF
Thanks.
certification.
I like the idea of pictures too. That's a lot of good proof.
For our, if we do apply for a grant. that'd be good. So this is our newest urban renewal that we did.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the TIF certification.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jeswell to approve the TIF certification for UR2 for area 95013. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Do these also need to be stamped?
Consider for approval annual financial cash report. Take a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve the annual financial cash report.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensel to approve the annual financial cash report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, carries.
It's approved, please.
Stamp approved.
Yep.
Open forum.
We all gotta sign all these.
You just sign my name. And nobody put Daffy Duck, please. I had actually fun with that list. I took a picture of it, shared it with a lot of people.
Well, we can't say that there aren't people out there with some kind of twisted sense of humor.
Actually, the comment that got the most energy was when I told them about the one that you got on one of yours at one time.
Oh, anybody but him.
People like, you're kidding. Nobody did that.
It's awful hard on the feelings.
I was told by the county attorney this morning, as government officials, we're supposed to endure more pressure and combativeness from the public than most private people. It's our job.
I expect that, yes.
why we make the big bucks, right?
Yeah.
Too much, how is it? To those who have been given much, much is expected? It's not given much. There we are, guys. Carla was in that group too. Where do you put yours? On the wall?
File. Not file 13. I actually keep them, but
All right, discussion with possible action, NACO conference.
so I told you about my NACO conference, and I talked to Adam Wedmore from Saragordo County. He's the guy I'm going with, and he clarified for me that the money from ISACA is supposed to be for a hotel, and so he said that he's staying at the hotel that the conference is in, so he doesn't have to worry about traveling back and forth to a hotel or whatever. And so that the money from ISACA basically pays for the hotel. The money for the conference is $530. And I'm requesting that the county pay for the money for the conference. I'll pick up the money for the airfare, is what I'm suggesting.
Does the conference include meals?
It includes some meals. I'm guessing it won't include all of them.
I think there's some, at least one meal a day you'll probably be provided, the other day. Well, fine.
Yeah.
Where's the conference at? Down-
Washington
I mean,
DC,
where
That's just what you-
downtown someplace, I don't know.
You probably have the breakfast at the motel, they usually have that at most of them. And I assume they were probably gonna feed you a noon meal, so it would only be the evening
Supper.
possibly.
Yeah.
If you want a good walking supper, I've walked all the way from Union Station over to the wharf. Because it was, and we beat the people during rush hour that took a cab. That's how it was during cherry blossom season. It was faster to walk. We had to walk over cars sometimes, but we got there.
As long as you weren't huffing and puffing too bad when you got there.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity at a low cost. I think it benefit the county and our tax dollars to have her a part of that, so.
I do too.
I would make a motion to approve the intending cost coming for the conference for Carla to go to the NACO conference in Washington DC.
I'll second.
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith. Approve the upcoming cost for the NACO conference in Washington DC for the auditor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Carries.
What's the date again, Carla?
March 1st or 4th.
Just at the early season for the cherry blossoms, depending on what time of year it is. I've been out there a lot of times. So you fly in on the weekend or?
Yeah, I think we fly in like Friday and then we leave Tuesday maybe?
That's a nice amount of time.
Yeah.
Alright. Consider approval, resolution to destroy election records for the 2022 general election.
So, and this is like just the paper ballots?
It's everything that's left over from the election basically, except the canvas, and canvas we keep forever.
Yeah.
Ballots, it's envelopes, it's, I don't know, whatever we've got in there. Unused ballots, voted ballots. paperwork.
What would you have done if we decided that we wanted to include all the unsigned absentees, like they did out in Pennsylvania?
That we what?
Out in Pennsylvania, there was unsigned, there was lots of ballots that were sent in without signatures and without the formal documentation. They didn't qualify, but the supervisors out there decided they were gonna include them anyway.
Well, so the supervisors aren't
Don't have that power.
allowed to make that decision. We have an absentee board that comes in and they're the ones that make that decision. And so,
Do we have to approve what they decide?
I mean, that's what you do in the canvas, but
You can't supersede what they determine,
no, you,
which is kind of what they did.
yeah, I don't think you have the power to do that.
California is still accepting ballots. They're still not done.
Yeah, that's,
But out there, they're doing the recount on the Senate, and they're trying to include all those ballots that weren't right. Thousands of ballots that were incomplete or whatever.
we had,
And their state Supreme Court determined that they can't, but yet they do it.
we had 2 absentee ballots that came in without a signature, and we can't count those ballots. We get a hold of those people, let them know that they can come in, sign their ballot, but if they don't come in, and we had several that did come in and sign them, but there
There was 2 that did.
there's 2 that didn't, and they're not counted. We had several that just didn't come in at all, and that's the way it happens. We had 2 that came in that were Uokava, which is a foreign ballot that came in by email. That's not allowed to be counted because they have to come in by mail. And that's, like I said, that's not decided by my office. That's decided by the absentee board the absentee board that's following the rules that's set out for them. So,
Any more questions for the auditor?
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution to destroy election records for the 2022 general election.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Jensel and a second from Smith to approve the resolution to destroy election records for the 2022 general election. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You want us all to sign on the ayes there?
sure, please.
All those opposed, motion carries. Consider for approval county claims.
That big one, miscellaneous, what was that for again?
The fire.
Yeah,
What's
it
it
was,
was?
yeah, that's what I remember.
So between that and the surfactant of PDX and the shift for 205.
I haven't got a,
For the PDX?
yeah,
I was told a little over 40,000 for the PDX, and then we got the bill for the.
we did get the bill for IMT, but we haven't received a bill from the city of Forest City yet for the fire department for the PDEX.
Right.
We got the bill for the PDEX, but we're supposed to pay it to the city, and we haven't got a bill from the
They
city.
get the discount.
Yes. So we can't pay it till we get their invoice.
And why did they get a discount that we wouldn't be able to get?
Because they're a fire department.
Oh. Makes sense.
And that number 17, we can just cross that one off because I was a dork and didn't see it on the agenda, so I added it again.
I didn't have it on mine.
Oh,
It wasn't on mine.
okay. Well, then it's fine.
Jennifer approve the resolution expenses for the budget officials?
Yes,
Okay, I couldn't remember, I know we had tabled it once, and,
yep, we did.
okay. The last I knew about that PDEX, I think it's sitting on a county trailer in one of our buildings, so. What's left over.
Kind of looks like baby formula. It's weird.
There's a thing from, no Amazon business customer attached to this drainage. Is that something different? Trying to make the correlation between the two. Just something got accidentally
I
attached.
think it may have just gotten accidentally.
Inadvertent attachment.
Yeah. I'll give that back to Chris.
Any further questions on the claims?
I'll make the motion to approve the county claims.
I'll second.
A motion, and a second from Jenslow to approve the county claims. All those in favor say aye.
All right,
All those opposed, motion carries. Payroll claims.
your stamper.
I will now, when we get to these.
Oh.
But all those official ones I wanted to write in.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, otherwise I'll start stamping up higher and allow you a little room to write here.
My hands were actually working fairly well today. It was a good, the rain helped. Either that or the osteobiflex.
The what?
Osteobiflex.
Oh, there,
I've
right?
been on that recently for my joints.
Somebody I know for their hands was using a product called Voltaren.
Oh, I've used it, but it doesn't seem to do a lot.
But then I was reading up about it, it said you're not supposed to use it on your shoulders or your hands, 'cause it's too close to your heart.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't, I did try it on my hands. Didn't work. Use it on my elbows and my knees. Didn't seem to work. So I quit using it.
I use magnesium and trace minerals.
ago, you had some real issues.
3 years ago.
Was it 3? And now you're better?
All the doctors wanted to give me carpal tunnel surgery. Not only better, better than it was before.
Is it like that one commercial? You don't understand. The pain is gone.
Are we fully staffed at the jail? No?
I don't know if we got one hired yet,
I haven't heard
So,
anything come across that they,
or at least not trained fully yet. I don't know if we have it hired or not. Do you guys get the report from Steve then on the jail?
I don't think I did.
if I did, I didn't read it.
Well, maybe I'll forward to you if
Yeah,
it
do
sent
that.
it to you. He sent it to the jail inspector to let him know he found.
Spend a lot of time out there that day.
An hour and a half or so.
Yeah, probably.
It's, nothing structurally wrong out there. It's not settling anywhere. The only thing the structural engineer determined is that basically it's a living, breathing building. And you've got 3 inches of concrete, 3 inches of concrete, and 3 inches of styrofoam. The inside's a certain temperature all the time. The outside can go really high in temperature, changes in temperature, which stretches expands the concrete, so it makes it flow.
Oh,
And that's what kind of releases it in the middle, in those joints.
really?
So it's just the way it is. So it'll just, we have to use that pick-proof caulking and fill it up, just maintain it.
Oh, it's a lot cheaper than some of the imagined alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
We still need to
So
do,
that was actually probably,
we still need to do the drainage though.
yes. I don't know when that's gonna get done. I can send a text again.
Asking, I guess it'd be good to ask him when he anticipates it will be done. Because there's water standing back there by the building,
Is there?
on the east side of the, just at the bottom of the hill, you know? On the north side of the storage shed. And the engineers agreed with us on that fix too. It would help. So I guess that was kind of a good news.
Yeah.
Kevin and they're gonna be pretty busy, taking out caulking and putting it back in.
How do they have to make sure nobody's in there? I mean,
Except coordinated. That's what's gonna take the time. The day we were there, general population, there was 2 of them in there.
Yeah, but they were all in the exercise room.
Oh, that's right, there was 2 in there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All together. But you can only keep them in there so long. So I suppose there'd have to be somebody in there with Kevin while he's in there then.
Well, I think they talked about having, Kevin and Steve talked about having, just hiring somebody to do it. Because I think that, I don't know that Kevin necessarily,
As a hit and miss project, it's hard to do.
mm-hmm.
Who would you hire for that?
I don't know.
Cox or us? Cox us.
I sent him another text.
So does the crack keep getting wider, or is it,
I don't think it's gotten bigger since 2-3 years ago.
No, but they're gonna, once it's fixed, they're gonna start taking pictures on a quarterly basis and keep a
Because the
record of it.
seasons- The seasons
So,
changes.
I mean, if it expands when it's hot and it contracts when it's cold, does it actually get smaller at some point?
I think it breaks the caulking loose a little bit when it expands.
I think,
You know?
that's why we're gonna keep a better record.
I'll make the motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensville to approve the payroll claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We'll leave that as your agenda, correct?
Yes.
Stand
Number
adjourned.
17 got taken off there.
Well, I already had it on there and I didn't see it, that's why I added it again.
So, yeah, I couldn't remember. Well, I've got two sets of the agenda here, one with it and one without it.
Yeah.
So the one with it is the one I should have took.
Well, either one, it don't matter.
So you're not doing 17.
We've already done it.
Oh, okay.
I had it on there twice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a dork. It's fine. At least I know I'm a dork. That's, 90% of the battle.
I don't think that's quite dork, Ron.
It's a first step towards treatment.
Yep.
It's just,
It's making sure that it's on there so I can get it in the paper on time. That's what it is.
And when it's
Okay.
two pages, you forget about it.
Are we adjourned?
Yeah, that's what I said.